Susan Cain is an author who did her TED Talk on the topic of the power of introverts. She showed her own personal naivety through a story about not knowing that other people could be introverted when she went to camp as a child. And she spends her entire talk actually talking about the strengths of being introverted and the fact that society tends to now push individuals away from that with the overuse of group work and almost destroying the individual idea in an effort to create more um, collaboration. But she doesn't discount completely the idea of collaborating. She just thinks that introspective and introverted work are better suited to be brought to a group effort once it's been completely thought out. Um, she herself is an introvert and spent 7 years writing a book about the power of introversion, while she also discusses the fact that right now, after the 20th century, that men of action are valued more than men of contemplation, and that salesmen are seen as role models, where in the past it had been individuals who would spend time thinking and then present their ideas to the world. She actually uses books for her prop to show what would be in her suitcase of life. And her speech, she gives 3 calls for action to encourage more solo work and stop the constant group work, um, for everyone to be more introspective and have personal revelations. And like I mentioned before with the books, she says everyone should have a suitcase of what matters to them in life and then use the contents of that suitcase on a regular basis. Uh, she does follow the Ten Commandments for the most part, especially in not trotting out the usual stuff. She does have a dream, and she's bringing on a new idea, something that contradicts the current mindset of the group or collaborative effort, and not completely discounting it, but calling it out for being a perverted version of what it should be. Um, she doesn't have an ego, and it's actually kind of refreshing to see someone who very obviously is not comfortable with public speaking going out of their way to promote a topic, the topic of introversion, which is kind of the opposite of public speaking. Um, she does mix in some jokes and some laughter, but she puts herself out there and misses a couple of times, and you can see she obviously pauses for laughter and doesn't get it a couple of times. She does not read her speech at all. She was very well prepared, very well versed, and she used good examples of classically introverted people of Gandhi and Eleanor Roosevelt, people who didn't necessarily want to be in the spotlight, but because of their beliefs had to be in the spotlight, and that went strongly with what she was trying to get across, that introversion isn't necessarily bad, it's just how some people are, and that it should be more accepted and even embraced. As far as some of her other uh, ways of following what Gar Reynolds said particularly is she did start strong. She illustrated with a flash story her own personal experience with introversion, and she didn't use a podium, she didn't have any slides, she just put herself out there. She did make good eye contact with the whole crowd, and she showed a passion for what she was talking about. Um, the really ironic part is, again, someone who is an introvert who's trying to promote acceptance of introversion having to be in front of a crowd and giving a speech. I can completely sympathize with her being very introverted myself, but when I can get in front of people, sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes I just want to crawl back into my shell. The biggest thing I took away from her speech was the fact that I'm not the only one who feels that way and behaves that way, and I think what she showed is that you do just have to go out and do it, and it's the same thing for me. I just have to go out and actually get in front of people and give speeches. The other major thing that she did that I catch myself doing, especially on trying to record these, is if I make a mistake, I want to stop. But she would make a mistake or stutter, and she would just continue to go. And that's what you have to do. You have to power through. And sometimes it's hard, but that's what it is. And my other issue that I took away from her is she wasn't robotic, and sometimes I tend to have that issue where I'm robotic and I slow down or try to read something that's been rehearsed or try to read something directly. And again, that was Susan Cain's TED Talk on the power of introversion, which I think if you haven't watched it, you should, because a lot of us might be introverted and not even realize it.